Welcome to long-form content of Tech Bytes and News. This is a compilation on latest news and articles featured on Hacker News. You can find the original links of articles in the description. Please like and subscribe to support future content. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into some massive news from Apple. They've announced a truly staggering investment in the U.S. economy.
Wow, 20,000 jobs and $500 billion? That's insane. What's the breakdown?
Exactly. It's a huge commitment. They're not just adding jobs. They're building a new server manufacturing facility in Houston, focusing on AI servers no less. Think of the implications for the AI hardware landscape. This is huge.
AI servers in Texas? That's a smart move, strategically positioning themselves for the AI boom and potentially reducing reliance on overseas manufacturing. But $500 billion over 4 years. That's an average of $125 billion annually. Where's all that money going?
Right, it's not just the Houston facility. They're also investing in a supplier academy in Michigan, a significant boost for the local economy, and increasing spending with existing U.S. suppliers. It's a multifaceted approach to bolstering the domestic tech sector. It's a bold move.
It is, but I wonder about the potential downsides. Such a massive investment carries risk. What if the AI market doesn't grow as expected? Or if there are unforeseen economic challenges? It's a gamble, isn't it?
That's a valid concern, absolutely. Any large-scale investment has inherent risks. However, Apple's financial position is incredibly strong, and this move could solidify their position as a leader in AI. Not just software, but also hardware. It's a calculated risk, I believe.
It's a huge bet on the future of AI and on the U.S. economy. It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out. The potential benefits are enormous, but so are the potential pitfalls. It's a game changer.
Precisely. This isn't just about Apple. It's about the future of American tech manufacturing and the broader economic landscape. This is a significant development with far-reaching consequences. We'll be watching closely.
Absolutely. This is a story that will unfold over the next few years. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll see you tomorrow with more of the latest tech news. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the recently released image of the U.S. Space Force's X-37B spaceplane in orbit. It's a major development, isn't it?
Absolutely. A first-ever public image of the X-37B in orbit. The secrecy surrounding this program is legendary, so this photo is a huge deal. What struck you most about the image itself?
Well, the sheer scale is breathtaking. You see Earth in the background, a tiny, distant blue marble, really emphasizing just how high the X-37B is flying. It's not just low Earth orbit. We're talking a much higher, more elliptical orbit, possibly even geosynchronous.
Right, and the payload bay being open is interesting too. It suggests active experimentation. What are they testing up there, you think? The article mentions new orbital regimes, space domain awareness tech, and radiation effects on materials. It's a pretty ambitious agenda.
Exactly. It's not just one thing. It's a multifaceted mission. And the aerobraking maneuver they're testing is a game changer. Using atmospheric drag to adjust orbit is incredibly efficient, saving fuel and potentially opening up new mission profiles.
I see. But isn't there a risk involved with aerobraking? The friction with the atmosphere could generate significant heat.
You're right. There's definitely a risk. But that's precisely why they're testing it. They need to refine the maneuver to ensure the X-37B can withstand the heat and stress. It's all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Makes sense. And the timeline is fascinating. This mission launched in December 2023, and the photo was taken sometime in 2024. They're not giving us exact dates, which adds to the mystery.
Precisely. The secrecy is part of the program's nature, but the fact that they released this image at all suggests a shift. Perhaps a desire to be more transparent, or maybe just to showcase their technological advancements. It's a powerful image.
It certainly is. And the comparison with China's reusable spaceplane is interesting. A bit of a space race, perhaps? A quiet one, at least for now.
Absolutely. It's a subtle competition, but the advancements on both sides are impressive. The X-37B's record-breaking 908-day mission on its sixth flight is a testament to its capabilities. This seventh mission promises to be even more groundbreaking.
So what's next for the X-37B? Any predictions on when it might return?
That's the million-dollar question. The Space Force isn't giving away any timelines, so it's pure speculation. But given the complexity of the experiments, I wouldn't be surprised if it stays up there for quite some time. It's a fascinating program, and this image is just a glimpse into its potential.
Indeed. A truly exciting development in space exploration and military technology. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll catch you next time with more exciting updates from the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of creating domain-specific languages, or DSLs, using Lua. It's a surprisingly elegant approach, and we'll unpack some key techniques.
I'm really excited about this. DSLs are powerful tools, but I've always found them a bit mysterious. What makes Lua a good choice for building them?
That's a great question. Lua's flexibility is key. Its syntax is remarkably adaptable, allowing for the creation of many languages within Lua itself. The article highlights this by building an HTML generator as a DSL. Think of it, writing HTML using Lua's syntax.
Wow, that sounds cool. So how does this HTML DSL actually work? I'm particularly interested in the techniques used.
Right, so the article focuses on several clever techniques. One is dropping parentheses. In Lua, if you're calling a function with a single argument that's a string or a table literal, you can omit the parentheses. This makes the DSL code much more concise and readable. Think print hello instead of print hello. It's a small change, but it adds up.
That's neat. It really cleans up the syntax. What about chaining? How does that fit into the picture?
Chaining is another powerful technique. It lets you chain function calls together without parentheses, as long as each expression on the left evaluates to a function. The article gives an example of a web routing framework where you can chain match and GET or POST functions. It's all about making the DSL feel natural and intuitive.
I see. So you're essentially creating a more expressive syntax within Lua itself. But how do you manage the scope of all these functions without polluting the global namespace?
That's where function environments come in. Instead of making everything global, which is bad practice, you use setFenv, or a custom implementation for Lua 5.2 and above, to create a separate environment for your DSL. This keeps everything neatly contained. The article shows how to use runwithenv to execute code within this custom environment.
Brilliant! That's a really elegant solution. So the HTML builder uses all these techniques together, right?
Exactly. The HTML builder uses a meta method, index, to dynamically generate functions for each HTML tag. So when you call h1 div or a, it creates the function on the fly. It's all very dynamic and efficient. The build_tag function then handles the actual HTML generation, cleverly handling both attributes and content within the same table.
That's impressive. The article mentions handling void elements like VOD. How does it manage that?
It uses a simple table, void tags, to keep track of self-closing tags. This allows build tag to generate the correct HTML, either with or without a closing tag. It's a small detail, but it shows the attention to detail in the implementation.
One thing I noticed is that the HTML builder doesn't do any escaping. That's a potential security risk, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. That's a crucial point. The article explicitly mentions that this is a simplified example, and that adding HTML escaping is essential for security, especially when dealing with untrusted input. It's a great example of where a seemingly small detail can have significant consequences.
So to summarize, Lua's flexibility, combined with clever techniques like dropping parentheses, chaining, and function environments, allows for the creation of powerful and expressive DSLs. The HTML builder example is a fantastic illustration of this.
Precisely. It's a testament to Lua's power and elegance. And remember, always sanitize your input. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Lua DSLs. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into Laravel Cloud, a platform promising the fastest way to deploy and scale Laravel applications. It's all about speed, simplicity, and scalability, right?
Absolutely. And it seems to deliver on that promise. One-click auto-scaling, managed databases, caching, storage, the whole shebang. It's like they're taking all the DevOps grunt work away, letting developers focus on what they do best, building amazing apps.
Precisely. They even highlight that it's built specifically for Laravel, eliminating those pesky configuration hassles and deployment complexities. Think of the time saved.
I see. Interesting. It mentions support for teams, too. Easy collaboration and permission management. That's a big plus for larger projects. And the list of team members. Wow, that's a powerhouse team behind this.
Yeah, a stellar lineup. Taylor Otwell himself is involved, along with Joe Dixon, Calvin Szymanski, and several others. It's a who's who of Laravel expertise. Gives you confidence, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's reassuring to see such a strong team backing the platform. But what about the technical details? They mention serverless Postgres 17. That's a modern, scalable database solution.
Exactly. And the monitoring and debugging tools seem pretty slick. Streamlined logs, commands, metrics, everything you need to keep an eye on your application's health. They even show real-time log examples, including error handling. Very transparent.
I noticed that too. The error handling example is particularly useful. It shows a clear stack trace, making debugging much easier. And the fact that they're using a queue system for tasks like file uploads is a good sign. It indicates a well-architected system.
Absolutely. And the features keep coming. Push to deploy, deploy hooks, a task scheduler, Octane support. It's a comprehensive platform. They've thought of everything.
I'm a little curious about the everything included aspect. How much of this is truly included versus potentially add-on services? The pricing model isn't explicitly detailed.
That's a valid point. While they emphasize the included features, more details on pricing tiers and potential add-ons would be beneficial. Transparency on costs is crucial for any platform. It's a bit of a black box in that regard.
Agreed. But the auto-scaling and hibernation features are compelling. The ability to scale up and down automatically, paying only for what you use, is a huge advantage, especially for applications with fluctuating traffic.
Definitely. And the cost-optimized and performance-optimized options provide flexibility. You can choose the right balance between cost and performance based on your needs. Plus, multiple regions for improved latency. That's a global reach.
The one-click resource provisioning is also a nice touch. Databases, caches, object storage, all readily available. It simplifies the deployment process significantly.
And the security features are impressive. DDoS protection, automatic SSL certificate management, load balancing. It's all there, built in. No need to configure firewalls or load balancers manually.
It sounds almost too good to be true. But the detailed logs, the team behind it, and the comprehensive feature set make it seem very promising. I'd definitely consider it for my next Laravel project.
Me too. It's a compelling offering. While the lack of detailed pricing is a minor concern, the overall package is very attractive. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion informative. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into Tutamail's groundbreaking launch of post-quantum cryptography. It's a huge leap forward in email security, folks. Get ready.
Absolutely. I've been following this closely. So, Tutacrypt, what's the core innovation here? Is it just a simple algorithm swap?
Not at all. It's a hybrid approach. They're combining cutting-edge, quantum-resistant algorithms like Cirrus-Dulce-Kyber with established methods like AES 256 and ECC. This dual-layer protection ensures emails are safe from both current and future quantum computer attacks. Think of it as a fortress with two impenetrable walls.
That's smart. So it's not just about replacing RSA 2048, right? There's more to it than that.
Exactly. The challenge isn't just about data at rest. It's about securing the entire communication process. 2Decrypt tackles asymmetric encryption, which is crucial for email. They're using Kyber for key encapsulation and X25519 for key exchange, creating a much more robust system. It's a complete overhaul of their cryptographic protocol.
I see. And what about existing Tuta users? Do they need to do anything?
New users get it automatically. For existing users, it's a gradual rollout. They'll get the update eventually, but no immediate action is required. Pretty seamless, huh?
That's good news. But how does this harvest now, decrypt later attack work? I'm a little fuzzy on that.
Right. It's a scary scenario. Basically, malicious actors collect encrypted data now, planning to decrypt it once powerful quantum computers are available. 2Decrypt makes that significantly harder because you'd need to crack both the quantum-resistant and traditional algorithms. It's a double lock on the data.
So it's a proactive defense against a future threat. That's impressive foresight.
Precisely. And it's not just about emails. This hybrid approach extends to calendar sharing and contact lists, and they're even working on quantum-safe file sharing. They're really thinking ahead.
This whole thing sounds incredibly complex. Are there any potential weaknesses or limitations they've acknowledged?
Yes, they're upfront about it. They mentioned some limitations regarding authentication, especially if long-term identity keys are compromised. They're planning a formal verification of the protocol and aiming for perfect forward secrecy in the future. Transparency is key, and they're showing that.
That's responsible. It shows they're not just hyping this up. They're committed to continuous improvement.
Absolutely. They're actively working with the University of Wuppertal on further improvements, including a full PQ mail protocol implementation. It's a collaborative effort to push the boundaries of email security.
This is a really significant development. It's not just about Tuta Mail. It sets a precedent for the entire industry. It shows that robust, quantum-resistant encryption is achievable, even for everyday applications.
Exactly. It proves that complex cryptography doesn't have to be inaccessible. Tuta Mail is making it available to everyone, and that's a huge win for online privacy. This is a game changer. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We'll keep you updated on further developments in the world of post-quantum cryptography. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a monumental victory for the right to repair movement. Legislation has been introduced in all 50 U.S. states. Incredible.
That's amazing. 11 years of fighting for this. I mean, think about it. From a handful of advocates to a nationwide movement. It's a testament to persistence, right?
Absolutely. It started with a single bill in South Dakota back in 2014, and now, thanks to the tireless work of iFixit, Repair.org, PIRG, and countless others, we've reached this incredible milestone. Every state now has a right to repair bill on the table.
And it's not just symbolic. 5 states, New York, California, Minnesota, Oregon, and Colorado, have already passed electronics right to repair legislation. That's 1 in 5 Americans already protected.
Exactly. And that's a huge win, but it highlights the uneven landscape. While some states are leading the charge, others are still catching up. The fight isn't over, you know? We need strong, comprehensive laws across the board.
I see. Interesting. So what's the next step? What are the challenges ahead? Getting these bills passed into law, right?
Precisely. Getting these bills passed into law is the crucial next step. Then, ensuring those laws are strong enough to actually make a difference. We're talking about access to parts, repair manuals, diagnostic tools, the whole shebang. Manufacturers have historically fought this tooth and nail, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They've claimed that releasing repair information would compromise trade secrets and endanger consumers. But iFixit and others have effectively countered those arguments, haven't they? Showing that repair information isn't inherently confidential, and that DIY repairs aren't inherently dangerous.
Exactly. They've presented data, expert testimony, and even brought in repair professionals to demonstrate the feasibility and safety of independent repairs. It's been a long, data-driven battle. And look where we are now.
It's truly remarkable. And it's not just about individual consumers, is it? This also impacts farmers, businesses, and even the environment. Reducing e-waste is a huge part of this, right?
Absolutely. Right to repair is about sustainability, economic empowerment, and consumer choice. It's about breaking the cycle of planned obsolescence and empowering people to fix their own stuff. It's a win for everyone.
It's inspiring to see such a broad coalition working together. From farmers to students, lawmakers to tech giants like Google, even Apple is showing some support. It's a real sea change.
It is. And while this is a massive milestone, it's not the finish line. The fight continues for stronger laws, better standards, and a future where repair autonomy is the norm, not the exception. We need to keep pushing for a world where we can fix what matters.
I couldn't agree more. This is a huge step forward, but the work continues. Thanks for breaking down this incredible news for us.
My pleasure. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll keep you updated on the progress of right-to-repair legislation across the country. Have a great day. And remember, keep fixing what matters. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of modular forms, described as the fifth fundamental operation of mathematics. It's a wild ride, so buckle up.
I'm ready. So, are we talking about something beyond the usual addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division? Something more exotic?
Exactly. Think of it like this. Those four basic operations are your everyday tools. Modular forms, they're like a supercharged, multi-tool Swiss Army knife with applications across numerous mathematical fields.
Wow, but what are they exactly? I mean, the article mentions symmetries, infinite symmetries. That sounds intense.
They're functions, but not your average functions. They possess incredibly intricate symmetries, so much so that they seem almost too good to be true. Think of a shape with perfect symmetry. A circle, for example. Now imagine a function with an infinite number of such symmetries.
Okay, I'm following sort of. The article uses the example of the cosine function, which has repeating symmetries. Is it similar to that, but bigger?
Yes. Cosine repeats every 2 pi, but modular forms have infinitely many hidden symmetries. They operate in the complex plane, using complex numbers, pairs of real and imaginary numbers, which adds another layer of complexity. It's mind-bending stuff.
Complex numbers. So we're talking about a two-dimensional plane instead of a simple number line? I see.
Precisely. And visualizing these functions is tricky. The article uses color coding to represent the output values of these functions on the complex plane. It's a clever way to make sense of something inherently abstract.
Interesting. So how do mathematicians actually use these things? I mean, infinite symmetries sound cool, but what's the practical application?
That's where it gets really exciting. Modular forms are fundamental to the proof of Fermat's last theorem, a problem that stumped mathematicians for centuries. They're also crucial in sphere packing, the Langlands program, and even string theory.
Whoa! Fermat's last theorem? Sphere packing? String theory? This is way beyond my understanding, but it sounds incredibly important.
It is. The article highlights how modular forms, because of their inherent symmetries, allow mathematicians to find exact formulas for things that would otherwise be incredibly difficult to calculate. They're like a secret weapon for solving complex problems.
So they're not just beautiful mathematical objects, they're powerful tools? Got it.
Exactly. They're used as building blocks for other modular forms, and their properties are so restrictive that they can be used to prove identities and congruences between seemingly unrelated mathematical objects. It's a testament to the elegance and power of mathematics.
I still find it hard to grasp the full picture, but I'm starting to appreciate the significance of modular forms. It's like a hidden layer of mathematical structure that underlies many seemingly disparate areas.
Precisely. And that's what makes them so fascinating. They're a testament to the interconnectedness of mathematics and its surprising applications in various fields. It's a field that continues to evolve, with new applications being discovered all the time.
This has been a truly enlightening discussion. Thanks for breaking down this complex topic in such an accessible way. I feel like I have a much better appreciation for the beauty and power of modular forms, even if I don't fully understand the intricacies.
My pleasure. It's a topic that deserves more attention, and I hope this conversation has sparked your curiosity. Remember to check out the original article for a deeper dive. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into Newt, a fascinating new functional programming language. It's got some really unique features, especially its approach to memory management. Let's jump right in.
I'm eager to hear about this. From what I've skimmed, it seems Newt boasts static memory management without garbage collection, which is quite a feat. How does it pull that off?
Exactly. That's the core innovation. Instead of garbage collection or regions, Newt uses a type-directed approach. It translates each type into a function that handles resource management, copying or discarding values as needed. Clever, right?
That's incredibly clever. So, the compiler essentially ensures every variable is used only once? What happens if a variable is used multiple times?
Yeah, precisely. If a variable is used twice, the compiler automatically inserts a copy operation. For example, if you have a list used in 2 function calls, the compiler will create 2 copies to ensure each function operates on its own independent data. It's all done behind the scenes.
So no manual memory management, but also no runtime overhead from garbage collection. Sounds almost too good to be true. I'm curious though. Copying large data structures like lists every time they're used seems inefficient. Doesn't that negate the performance benefits?
That's a great point. You're right to be skeptical. The initial thought is, oh no, copying a whole list just to get its length? That's a disaster. But Newt cleverly avoids excessive copying using something called the T-necessity operator from modal logic. It's a bit like Rust's borrowing, allowing for efficient resource sharing without unnecessary duplication. The details are in their static memory management documentation, but the gist is that it's far more nuanced than simple copying in most cases.
I see. So it's not always a full copy, it's more intelligent than that. That makes a lot more sense. What about the language's other features? What does the syntax look like?
The syntax is pretty clean and functional. It supports full lambda calculus, algebraic data types, and pattern matching. It's quite expressive, yet readable. Think of a blend of functional elegance with a practical approach to resource management. They even have a built-in formatter, similar to Go's, which is a nice touch.
That's excellent. And what about performance? How does it stack up against other languages?
They have benchmarks on their website, so you can check those out for a detailed comparison. But from what I understand, the performance is quite competitive. Remember, the absence of garbage collection is a significant performance advantage in many scenarios.
Interesting. So it's a functional language with static memory management, a type system based on calculus of constructions, and it compiles to LLVMIR. It even has built-in LSP support and a rapid prototyping experience. That's a pretty compelling combination.
Absolutely. And one more interesting detail is their module system. It uses checksums of tarballs to identify modules, which is a unique approach to versioning and dependency management. It's not the central focus, but it's a noteworthy aspect of the design.
Fascinating. It sounds like Newt is a language worth keeping an eye on. The combination of functional purity, static memory management without GC, and the innovative type system makes it a truly unique offering. Thanks for the overview.
My pleasure. It's definitely a language to watch. And remember, listeners, you can find all the details and links mentioned on the Newt website. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating paper from Arxiv. Is this the simplest and most surprising sorting algorithm ever? It claims to present a remarkably simple sorting algorithm, one that might initially seem incorrect, but is actually proven to be sound. Intriguing, right?
Absolutely. A simple sorting algorithm that initially appears flawed? That's a hook. What makes this algorithm so unusual?
Well, the paper doesn't explicitly detail the algorithm itself in the abstract, but the core idea is its surprising simplicity. It suggests a method so straightforward, it almost seems too good to be true, hence the surprising aspect. The authors then rigorously prove its correctness, which is the real kicker.
I see. So the intrigue lies in the contrast between the algorithm's apparent simplicity and the rigorous proof needed to validate it. It's like a mathematical magic trick, you know?
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting from a theoretical computer science perspective. It challenges our assumptions about what constitutes a simple yet effective sorting algorithm. The paper also mentions comparing this new algorithm to other established simple sorting algorithms, like bubble sort or insertion sort, to analyze its performance characteristics and unique properties.
That's a crucial aspect. How does it compare? Is it faster? More efficient in terms of memory usage? Or is its simplicity its only real advantage?
That's the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, the abstract doesn't provide those specifics. To get the full picture, we'd need to delve into the full 7-page paper itself. But the very fact that they're making this comparison suggests there's something noteworthy about its performance, even if it's not necessarily superior in all aspects.
Right. It could be a trade-off between simplicity and efficiency. Perhaps it's less efficient in the worst-case scenario, but incredibly simple to implement, making it ideal for specific applications where ease of understanding and implementation outweighs raw speed.
That's a very insightful point. It highlights the importance of considering the context of algorithm selection. Sometimes, a simpler algorithm, even if slightly less efficient, can be preferable due to its maintainability and ease of debugging.
Absolutely. So in essence, this paper isn't just about a new sorting algorithm. It's about challenging our preconceived notions of simplicity and efficiency in algorithm design. It's a reminder that sometimes the most elegant solutions are the ones that initially seem too good to be true.
Precisely. And that's why this paper is so exciting. It's a testament to the ongoing evolution of algorithm design and the constant search for elegant and efficient solutions. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating article from The Economist. Elon Musk spells danger for Accenture, McKinsey, and their rivals. It's a pretty explosive piece, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Explosive is the perfect word. The core argument seems to be that Musk's influence, particularly within the Trump administration, poses a significant threat to the traditional consulting giants. But, how exactly is he doing that?
Right. It's all about Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Their ambitious goal is to slash government spending by a staggering $2 trillion. That's a huge number. This directly impacts the consulting firms who thrive on government contracts and large-scale projects.
I see. So less government spending means less work for these firms, right? But isn't it a bit simplistic to say Musk is directly causing this? There are other factors at play, surely.
You're right to challenge that. It's not a simple cause and effect. Other factors like economic shifts and changing government priorities are involved, but the article strongly suggests that Musk's aggressive cost-cutting initiatives, under the Trump administration, are creating a climate where these massive consulting firms are facing increased scrutiny and potential loss of revenue. It's a perfect storm, you know?
A perfect storm indeed. The article also highlights the irony, doesn't it? These firms, Accenture and McKinsey, are known for their efficiency and cost-cutting expertise. Yet they're now facing a threat from someone who's essentially doing what they do, but on a much larger scale.
Exactly. It's a bit of a David and Goliath situation, but with a twist. David, Musk, is using his influence and a very different approach to disrupt the established Goliaths, the consulting firms. It's a fascinating case study in disruptive innovation applied to the government sector.
And the implications are huge. If DOGE succeeds in its ambitious goals, it could fundamentally reshape the landscape of government contracting. We could see a shift towards smaller, more agile firms, or even a greater reliance on in-house government expertise. It's a really interesting development.
Absolutely. The article paints a picture of a future where the traditional consulting model might need a serious overhaul. They might need to adapt, become more specialized, or find new niches to survive in this changing environment. It's a wake-up call for them, for sure.
It certainly is. And it's not just about the financial impact. It's about the broader implications for how governments operate and how they utilize external expertise. This is a story that's going to continue to unfold, and we'll be watching closely.
Indeed. A very exciting and potentially transformative period for the industry. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of government consulting and Elon Musk's disruptive influence. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and slightly alarming article from Des Malizium. Ketamine is probably more neurotoxic than you think. It's a deep dive into the neurotoxicity of ketamine, separating fact from fiction.
Right. I've heard the buzz around ketamine's supposed neuroprotective properties, the whole neurogenesis thing. But this article challenges that notion pretty directly, doesn't it?
Exactly. The article starts by debunking the myth that ketamine is neurogenetic. It clarifies that while ketamine temporarily boosts neuroplasticity, think increased synapse formation, this is vastly different from actual neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons. It's a subtle but crucial distinction.
So it's more like rewiring than rebuilding? That's a significant difference. But the article's main point is that ketamine is, in fact, neurotoxic, right?
Precisely. Numerous animal and human studies point to ketamine's neurotoxicity. At recreational doses, the damage is significant. Bladder damage, central nervous system toxicity, and visible lesions on MRI scans after just 3 months of heavy use. The article paints a pretty stark picture. After years of heavy use, the brain can resemble a mix of MS and early-stage Alzheimer's.
Wow, that's intense. But the article also mentions therapeutic use, which is obviously different from recreational abuse. Is there a clear line drawn there?
That's where it gets complicated. While heavy recreational use, involving grams per week, is clearly damaging, the article cites studies showing brain damage even at lower doses, around 4 times the therapeutic dose, used twice a week for 6 months. Even then, subtle changes in gray and white matter were visible.
That's concerning. So even therapeutic doses might not be entirely safe?
The article suggests that's a possibility. It highlights that early damage might be microscopic and undetectable with current technology now. And even with therapeutic use, some users report needing higher doses over time, suggesting a form of permatolerance that could indicate ongoing neurotoxicity. It's a worrying trend.
I see. The article mentions a lack of conclusive evidence on low-dose therapeutic use, but the author's personal experience and conversations with psychiatrists suggest a degree of neurotoxicity is likely, even at therapeutic levels. It's a cautious approach, but understandable given the potential risks.
Absolutely. The article also delves into the mechanism of ketamine's neurotoxicity, pointing to excitotoxicity, excessive activation of AMPA receptors leading to neuron death. It even suggests potential countermeasures, like N-acetyl-cysteine. It's a comprehensive look at the issue.
So, the bottom line is, caution? Weighing the benefits against the potential long-term risks?
Precisely. The article concludes that while the neurotoxicity of high-dose ketamine is clear, more research is needed on low-dose therapeutic use. But given the potential for irreversible damage, erring on the side of caution seems prudent. It's a call for responsible use and further research.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking down this complex article. It's a crucial discussion to have.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion informative and thought-provoking. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the microjournal, a series of distraction-free writing devices created by Eun-Kyu Lee. It's a truly innovative project.
Wow, distraction-free writing? That sounds amazing. I'm always looking for ways to improve my focus. So what makes the microjournal so special?
Well, it's not just one device. It's an evolution. Eun-Kyu Lee has iterated through several versions, each building upon the last. The core concept is a compact, tactile writing experience, prioritizing focus over flashy features. Think of it as a modern take on the classic typewriter, but with digital capabilities. The early versions used a Raspberry Pi, then an old phone, before evolving to more sophisticated designs using ESP32 microcontrollers.
An old phone? That's unexpected. How did that even work?
Yeah, it's a testament to his ingenuity. He repurposed an old Samsung Galaxy S8, essentially turning it into a simple writing interface with a connected keyboard. It wasn't perfect. Phones are inherently distracting, but it served as a stepping stone. The later iterations, though, are much more refined. They boast instant power on, e-ink displays, and even hot swappable Cherry MX keys.
Hot swappable keys? That's a serious upgrade for a writer's device. What about the form factor? How portable are these things?
Extremely portable. They're designed to be compact and easily carried around. Some versions even have a carrying strap or a foldable design. The goal is to make it easy to write anywhere, a cafe, a park, even your bedside table for those late-night inspiration strikes. One version, the Vivian in New York, even has a protective case that doubles as a privacy hood.
I see. So it's not just about the tech, but also the design and user experience. This is really clever. But what about software? Is it just a simple text editor, or are there more advanced features?
Mostly simple text editors, focusing on that distraction-free experience. But some versions offer Google Drive Sync, allowing you to save your work seamlessly to the cloud. The software is tailored to the hardware, prioritizing speed and simplicity. It's all about getting into that writing flow as quickly as possible.
That's a really interesting approach. I wonder, though, about the target audience. Is this for professional writers, hobbyists, or both?
I think it appeals to a broad range. Professional writers might appreciate the focus and portability, while hobbyists will love the customizable keyboard and the overall tactile experience. It's really a device for anyone who values a distraction-free writing environment. Plus, the DIY kits make it accessible to those who enjoy building things themselves. It's a really engaging project, even for those who aren't experienced with electronics.
That's a great point. The DIY aspect adds another layer of appeal. It's almost like a maker's project that also happens to be a really useful writing tool. It's quite remarkable how Eun-Kyu Lee has iterated and improved upon his design over time.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic example of iterative design and a testament to the power of focusing on a specific need. And the community around it, as evidenced by the Reddit threads and press coverage, is quite vibrant. It's a really inspiring project, and I encourage everyone to check out the GitHub repository for more details.
Definitely. Thanks for sharing this fascinating story. It's been a pleasure discussing the microjournal.
My pleasure. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of distraction-free writing. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into Geocodio's ingenious approach to maintaining a sustainable free tier while battling abuse. It's a fascinating case study in balancing accessibility with security.
Absolutely. I'm particularly interested in how they manage to avoid the common pitfalls of overly restrictive free tiers. Many companies just scrap them altogether, right?
Exactly. Geocodio recognized the value of a free tier for user acquisition, but also the potential for abuse. Their initial approach, blocking multiple signups from the same IP, was overly simplistic. It caused a lot of friction for legitimate users, especially universities and workshops.
So they learned the hard way that a blanket ban isn't the answer. That's a great example of loss aversion, isn't it? Focusing on the potential loss of revenue from blocking legitimate users, rather than the potential gain from preventing abuse.
Precisely. They shifted to a more nuanced approach, focusing on risk scoring. Instead of simple IP blocks, they built a system analyzing dozens of factors: browser user agent, IP address, country, email domain, and even detecting patterns from past fraudulent signups. It's a multi-layered defense.
And this risk scoring system is what allows them to maintain a relatively frictionless sign-up process, right? No endless CAPTCHAs or ID verification.
Yeah, they cleverly avoid those annoying hurdles for most users. Only medium-risk signups might encounter a CAPTCHA, and even high-risk ones aren't automatically blocked. They get a message prompting them to contact support if they believe they've been wrongly flagged. It's a smart balance.
That's a really smart way to handle false positives. It shows they prioritize user experience while still effectively mitigating abuse. It's a testament to their commitment to customer satisfaction, even when dealing with potentially problematic users.
Absolutely. And the whole system is largely automated, minimizing the need for manual intervention. They learned their lesson from the earlier manual account creation process, which was a huge time sink for their small team. Now they only need to intervene in a handful of cases per month.
So their approach is less about completely eliminating abuse and more about managing it effectively, right? They accept a certain level of abuse as the cost of maintaining a generous free tier.
Precisely. They've realized that chasing every single bad actor isn't worth the effort. It's a more sustainable and efficient strategy. Plus, someone who's willing to expend significant effort to circumvent their system probably isn't a valuable customer anyway.
That's a really insightful point. It's about focusing resources on improving the product for legitimate users rather than constantly playing whack-a-mole with abusers. A very pragmatic and effective approach.
And the best part? Their system is constantly evolving. They're continuously refining their risk scoring model, adding new factors, and tweaking existing ones. It's a dynamic, adaptive system, not a static solution. It's a testament to their commitment to continuous improvement.
It's a fantastic example of how a company can successfully navigate the challenges of a free tier, prioritizing both user experience and security. A truly impressive feat of engineering and strategic thinking.
Indeed. A great lesson for any SaaS company considering a free tier. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into GeoCodio's innovative approach to abuse prevention. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating GitHub repository. WAN 2.1, an open-source project focused on large-scale video generative models. It's got 285 stars already, which is pretty impressive, right?
Absolutely. Large-scale video generation is a huge area right now. What makes WAN 2.1 stand out? Is it the scale, the open source aspect, or something else entirely?
Well, it's a combination of factors. The open and advanced description is key. Many video generation models are proprietary, but WAN 2.1 is open source, making it accessible to researchers and developers. And the large-scale part implies it can handle high-resolution videos and complex scenes, which is a significant technical achievement.
I see. So it's not just about generating videos, it's about generating them efficiently and at a high quality. What's the primary language used in the project?
Primarily Python, with a small percentage of shell scripts. 98.2% Python to be exact. That's pretty standard for machine learning projects of this nature.
Makes sense. And what about the license? Is it restrictive in any way?
Nope. It's under the Apache 2.0 license, which is very permissive. This encourages wider adoption and contribution to the project. That's a big plus for the community.
Definitely. Open source and permissive licensing are crucial for fostering collaboration and innovation. Are there any notable features or functionalities that you find particularly interesting?
Well, the GitHub page itself is a bit sparse, to be honest. It lacks detailed documentation, which is a bit of a drawback. But the fact that it's even available, open source, and already has a decent number of stars, suggests there's something substantial there. The lack of detailed documentation is something I'd like to see improved, though.
I agree. Good documentation is essential for any open source project. It makes it easier for others to understand, use, and contribute to the code. The number of stars and forks, however, does suggest a level of community interest and engagement, which is promising.
Exactly. The 285 stars and 8 forks show there's definitely some buzz around this project. It's definitely one to keep an eye on, especially as the documentation improves. It has the potential to become a really significant contribution to the field of video generation.
Absolutely. It's exciting to see open source projects pushing the boundaries of video generation. This could have significant implications for various applications, from filmmaking to animation to even scientific visualization.
Precisely. And the Apache 2.0 license ensures that this technology can be used and built upon by anyone, accelerating innovation across the board. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece on why only bad poems go viral. It's a provocative claim, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's counterintuitive. You'd think the best, most impactful poems would be the ones that spread like wildfire. But this article argues that virality is actually linked to specific, almost formulaic, qualities that make a poem both loved and hated. Intriguing.
Exactly. The author identifies 6 key traits that seem to predict a poem's viral trajectory. First, there's the juxtaposition of mundane details with profound themes. Think prescription drugs alongside existential angst. It's a clever technique, but it also risks alienating readers who find it jarring or trivializing.
I see. So it's a double-edged sword. The unexpected combination grabs attention, but it can also be off-putting. What are some of the other traits?
Well, the use of contemporary forms like free verse or spoken word is another one. While accessible to some, it can feel like not real poetry, to those accustomed to more traditional forms. It's a generational thing, too.
Right, a generational divide. And then there's the political aspect. The article suggests that poems often align with specific ideologies, leading to in-group sharing and out-group backlash. The poem's artistic merit becomes secondary to its political function. That's a powerful point.
Absolutely. It's almost like the poem becomes a tribal signal. Then there's the moral or therapeutic takeaway. Poems that offer explicit lessons or revelations can be inspiring to some, but preachy to others. It's a fine line to walk. And then there's the cringe factor. Poems that are overly sentimental can be both loved and ridiculed.
So essentially, the recipe for a viral poem involves a potent mix of accessibility and provocation, often with a strong political or emotional undercurrent. It's almost like a perfect storm of factors. But isn't this analysis a bit reductive? Doesn't it oversimplify the complexities of artistic merit?
That's a valid criticism. The article acknowledges that it's a simplification, but it argues that these factors reliably predict viral success, regardless of the poem's inherent quality. It's not saying that all viral poems are bad, but that the very act of going viral can distort our judgment. Interesting, right?
It is. The article also points out the difference between platforms. On Instagram, the visual element seems to mitigate the negative reactions that are common on Twitter. The quote tweet function on Twitter practically invites harsh criticism.
Precisely. The platform itself shapes our engagement with art. The article concludes that our focus on online discourse has overshadowed the quiet, contemplative appreciation of poetry. We're less interested in the poem itself and more interested in participating in the online conversation it generates. A sobering thought.
It really is. It makes you think about how social media algorithms are shaping our aesthetic experiences, and not necessarily for the better. It's a fascinating and somewhat depressing analysis of the intersection of art and the internet. I see.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the metrics of social media don't always align with genuine artistic merit, and that sometimes the best way to appreciate a poem is to simply sit with it, away from the noise of the internet. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this discussion. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating issue highlighted by Jeff Johnson regarding Xcode's frequent communication with Apple servers, essentially phoning home far more often than seems necessary. It's a privacy concern and a performance hit.
Right, I saw that article. The core issue is Xcode's seemingly excessive network activity, even during local builds, impacting build times and raising privacy questions, right? It's not just about App Store uploads, it's about everyday development.
Exactly. Johnson points out that even a simple Objective-C and JavaScript project, which should compile quickly, experienced significant delays due to the gather provisioning inputs phase. This phase, taking almost the entire build time in his case, was directly linked to communication with developer services 2.apple.com. Disabling internet solved the problem, proving the connection.
So it's not just a minor inconvenience, it's a substantial performance bottleneck. And the solution, while effective, blocking the connection with Little Snitch, isn't ideal. It's a workaround, not a fix. It's a bit of a hack, isn't it?
Totally. It's a band-aid solution. He mentions the Allow Provisioning Updates flag in Xcode build, suggesting Apple's aware of the issue. But the fact that this constant connection is even happening for local builds is the real problem. It's unnecessary overhead.
He also notes connections to devimages-cdn.apple.com on every launch, supposedly for downloadable components. Again, unnecessary for local development, especially given Apple's stated commitment to privacy. A bit ironic, wouldn't you say?
Incredibly ironic. It's like Apple saying, "We value your privacy," while Xcode is constantly checking in, potentially sending identifying information about projects and the developer. And then there's the App Store connect.apple.com connection every time a project is opened. That's just excessive.
It raises serious questions about what data Apple is collecting. If it's just checking for updates, why does it require a developer login? It strongly suggests more than just version checks are happening. It feels like a backdoor for data collection, disguised as a necessary feature.
Precisely. Johnson concludes that Xcode acts as a developer analytics collection mechanism, whether we like it or not. And I think many developers will agree that this level of constant communication is unacceptable. It's a privacy violation and a performance killer. We need more transparency from Apple on this.
Absolutely. The article highlights a real problem, and it's not just about build times, it's about the principle of the thing. Developers deserve more control over their data and their development environment. It's a call for Apple to address this issue directly, not just offer workarounds.
You said it! Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Remember to subscribe and join us next time for more tech news and analysis. Goodbye!
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating blog post, Introduction to Stochastic Calculus. It's a beginner-friendly exploration, focusing on intuition and calculus-based derivations, avoiding the heavy probability theory you might find in a textbook. Excited to get started?
Absolutely. I've always been intrigued by stochastic calculus, but the formalisms often seem daunting. What's the core idea the author is trying to convey?
The main goal is to show how stochastic calculus, specifically Brownian motion and Ito calculus, emerges naturally from the physical world. It starts with a very relatable example. Pascal's triangle. You know, the one with the binomial coefficients?
Oh yeah, I remember that from combinatorics. What's the connection to Brownian motion?
Well, the number of paths to reach a certain point in Pascal's triangle corresponds to the binomial distribution. The author then cleverly shows how, by taking the continuous limit of this discrete model, we get the normal distribution, which is the foundation of Brownian motion. It's a beautiful connection.
I see. So essentially, they're building up Brownian motion from a simple, discrete model. That's a really intuitive approach. What about Ito calculus? How does that fit in?
That's where things get really interesting. Because Brownian motion is nowhere differentiable, standard calculus doesn't work. Ito calculus provides a framework to handle this irregularity. It's a whole new set of rules for integration and differentiation, tailored to the random nature of Brownian motion. It involves a special chain rule, Ito's lemma, which includes a correction term that accounts for the roughness of Brownian motion.
So the correction term in Ito's lemma is crucial because of the non-differentiability of Brownian motion? That's a key takeaway, right?
Exactly. That extra term is what distinguishes Ito calculus from regular calculus. It's a consequence of the fact that the square of the Brownian motion increment, dw squared, is not negligible, unlike dx squared in standard calculus. It's approximately equal to dt.
That's fascinating. And what about applications? The blog post mentions several, right?
Yes, the applications are incredibly diverse. In finance, Ito calculus is fundamental to option pricing models like the Black-Scholes equation. In physics, Einstein used Brownian motion to prove the existence of atoms. And now, there are even applications in machine learning, using stochastic differential equations to generate new samples. It's truly a powerful tool.
That's amazing. So it's not just theoretical, it has real-world impact across many fields. The author also mentions Stratonovich calculus, doesn't he? How does that differ from Ito calculus?
Yes, Stratonovich calculus is another approach to stochastic calculus. The main difference lies in how the stochastic integral is defined. Ito calculus uses the left endpoint of each interval in the Riemann sum approximation, while Stratonovich uses the midpoint. This seemingly small change leads to different results, especially in the chain rule. Stratonovich calculus preserves the standard chain rule, which can be advantageous in certain contexts, like physical systems where noise is tied to physical continuity or symmetry.
So the choice between Ito and Stratonovich depends on the specific application and the nature of the noise involved? That's a crucial point to remember.
Precisely. The author provides a clear explanation of the conversion formula between the two, allowing you to switch between them as needed. It's a really comprehensive introduction, covering the key concepts and applications in a clear and engaging way. I highly recommend checking out the original blog post for more details and the accompanying code examples.
Definitely. This has been a great overview. Thanks for breaking down this complex topic so clearly. It's given me a much better understanding of stochastic calculus and its applications.
My pleasure. And thank you for listening to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of stochastic calculus. Join us next time for more exciting discussions on the latest tech news and breakthroughs. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating security vulnerability uncovered by Eric Daigle, involving MESH by Viscount Apartment Access Control Systems. It's a wild ride, so buckle up.
Wow, breaking into dozens of apartments in 5 minutes? That sounds intense. What's the core issue here?
The core problem is shockingly simple: default credentials. Daigle stumbled upon a MESH system, and a quick Google search revealed the installation manual, which helpfully displayed the default username and password, Freedom Viscount.
Seriously? No password change required? That's unbelievably negligent.
Exactly. And it gets worse. Using those defaults, he gained access to a wealth of personally identifiable information, PII. Think full names, unit numbers, and a detailed log of every access event. Essentially, when residents came and went. Even phone numbers were exposed.
That's a massive privacy violation. So he just logged in and saw all this information?
Yep. But that's not all. He also found a function to override access controls. He could remotely unlock any entrance in the building. 5 minutes. And he could have been inside.
Unbelievable. So, was this just one isolated incident?
Oh no. Far from it. He used ZoomEye, a search engine for internet-connected devices, to find other vulnerable systems. He found hundreds, and a significant percentage, around 43% of those exposed in the past year, were vulnerable to the same default credentials.
Hundreds of buildings compromised? This is a major security flaw. What's the current status?
Daigle reported the vulnerability, and a CVE, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, has been assigned. He contacted both the current and former vendors, Hirsch and Identiv respectively. Hirsch acknowledged the issue, stating that the vulnerable systems weren't following best practices. But there's been no public update on whether building managers have been notified.
That's incredibly concerning. It highlights the critical need for strong password policies and regular security audits, especially for IoT devices managing access to buildings. This isn't just a technical issue. It's a serious security risk with significant implications for resident safety and privacy.
Absolutely. This case underscores the importance of secure defaults and the dangers of neglecting basic security measures. It's a stark reminder that even seemingly minor oversights can have massive consequences. And, it's a bit scary to think how easily this could be exploited.
It really is. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. This is a crucial security issue that needs wider awareness. We need to push for better security practices in the IoT space.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay safe online. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discovery from MIT biologists. A new layer of control over RNA splicing. It's revolutionary.
RNA splicing, huh? That sounds intensely technical. I'm familiar with the basics. Introns, exons, the spliceosome. But what's new here?
Exactly. It's about a family of proteins, LUC7, that are adding a whole new level of complexity to the process. Previously, we thought the binding strength between the U1 snRNA and the 5' splice site was the main driver. But it turns out, LUC7 proteins are major players, influencing splicing for about half of all human genes.
Whoa! Half of all human genes? That's a huge deal. So how do these LUC7 proteins work their magic?
Well, there are 3 types of LUC7 proteins in human cells. 2 bind to what they're calling right-handed 5' splice sites, and 1 binds to left-handed sites. It's like they're adding another layer of specificity to the process, making it even more precise. It's incredibly elegant.
Interesting. So, right-handed and left-handed splice sites. Is that a literal description of their structure, or a metaphorical label?
It's a bit of a nomenclature thing, I think. The paper doesn't go into the exact structural details, but it suggests that the different LUC7 proteins recognize distinct sequence motifs within the 5' splice sites. It's the interaction that's key.
I see. And what are the broader implications of this discovery? Beyond the sheer fascination of it all, I mean.
Oh, the implications are massive. For one, it could revolutionize our understanding of gene regulation. It also has direct implications for disease. Mutations in LUC7L2, one of these proteins, are linked to blood cancers, specifically AML. Understanding how LUC7 affects splicing could lead to new therapies targeting these cancers.
That's incredible. So we could potentially develop drugs that specifically target these LUC7-mediated splicing pathways to treat AML? That's a game changer.
Precisely. And it's not just limited to humans. The study found similar mechanisms in plants, suggesting this type of regulation is ancient and highly conserved across the animal and plant kingdoms. It's a testament to the power of evolution.
This is truly remarkable work. It highlights how much we still have to learn about even fundamental cellular processes like RNA splicing. It makes you wonder what other hidden layers of regulation are out there waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. The researchers are already planning to delve deeper into the structural details of these LUC7 mRNA interactions. This is just the beginning of a new chapter in our understanding of gene expression. And that's a fantastic place to be.
Indeed. Thanks for breaking down this exciting research for us. It's been a mind-blowing conversation.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll catch you next time with more exciting breakthroughs from the world of science and technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating development in the AI infrastructure landscape. Microsoft's apparent scaling back on data center leases. It's a bit of a curveball, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Microsoft has been aggressively investing in AI, pledging a whopping $80 billion for computing capacity. This news from TD Cowen, suggesting they've canceled leases for a couple of hundred megawatts, throws a wrench into the narrative of insatiable AI demand. What's your take on this?
Well, it's not necessarily a complete reversal. It suggests a potential recalibration. Maybe their initial projections were overly optimistic, or perhaps they've found more efficient ways to utilize existing infrastructure. Remember, these are channel checks, not official statements from Microsoft. So there's a degree of uncertainty.
Right, the uncertainty is key. The report mentions Microsoft canceling agreements with private operators and pulling back on statements of qualifications. This suggests a more cautious approach, perhaps a reassessment of their long-term AI needs. It could also indicate that the initial hype around AI's immediate, massive resource demands might be cooling down a bit.
I see your point. The article highlights Wall Street's growing skepticism about sustained, exponential growth in AI demand. Perhaps the initial rush to secure capacity was fueled by fear of missing out, a classic case of market exuberance. Now, a more measured approach seems to be emerging.
Exactly. And the scale of the cancellations, a couple of hundred megawatts, equivalent to roughly 2 data centers, isn't insignificant. It's a substantial adjustment, suggesting a significant shift in Microsoft's strategy. This could have ripple effects across the data center industry, impacting other companies vying for space and resources.
Absolutely. This could signal a broader trend. If Microsoft, a major player, is adjusting its plans, it might indicate a more general correction in the market. Other companies might be reevaluating their own AI infrastructure investments. It's a fascinating development that warrants close monitoring.
Relay Long Week, it's also interesting to consider the implications for the broader AI landscape. If the demand isn't as explosive as initially predicted, it could affect the pace of AI development and deployment. It might slow down the race, forcing companies to focus on optimization and efficiency rather than just sheer scale.
That's a really insightful point. It could lead to a more sustainable approach to AI development, focusing on efficiency and responsible resource management. The initial frenzy might have overlooked the environmental impact of massive data centers. This recalibration could be a positive development in the long run.
It's a complex situation, though. While a more measured approach is arguably healthier, it could also stifle innovation if companies become too hesitant to invest in the necessary infrastructure for groundbreaking AI advancements. It's a delicate balance.
Precisely. It's a dynamic situation, and we'll need to wait and see how this plays out. But the fact that Microsoft, a company at the forefront of AI development, is making these adjustments is definitely noteworthy. It's a reminder that even in the rapidly evolving world of AI, careful planning and strategic adaptation are crucial.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking down this important news for us. It's a story that will undoubtedly continue to unfold in the coming weeks and months.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll keep you updated on any further developments in this evolving story. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into MongoDB's acquisition of Voyage AI. It's a big deal, folks. A really big deal for the future of AI application development. Exciting stuff.
Absolutely. MongoDB, a name synonymous with flexible databases, is now stepping into the AI arena in a major way. What's the core reason behind this acquisition?
It all boils down to trust, or rather, the lack thereof in current AI applications. AI models, while powerful, are probabilistic. They can hallucinate, generating false or misleading information. This is a huge problem, especially in critical sectors like finance, healthcare, and law.
I see. So inaccurate AI outputs can have serious consequences. How does Voyage AI solve this?
Voyage AI specializes in high-quality information retrieval. Their advanced embedding and re-ranking models ensure that AI applications extract the most relevant information with precision. Think of it as giving the AI the right context, the right facts, before it starts making decisions. It's like providing a highly curated research paper to a student before they write an essay, instead of just letting them loose on the internet.
That's a great analogy. So Voyage AI essentially acts as a fact-checker for the AI, ensuring accuracy?
Precisely. Their models can handle diverse data types, text, images, code, you name it. And they're already trusted by big names like Anthropic, LangChain, and Harvey. Their Hugging Face models are top-rated too. Impressive, right?
Extremely. But how does this integration with MongoDB work? Will it be a seamless transition for developers?
That's the beauty of it. MongoDB is integrating Voyage AI's technology directly into its database. This means developers can build trustworthy AI applications without having to worry about the complexities of information retrieval. It's all built in, making the process much smoother and more efficient. It's a game changer.
So it's not just about accuracy. It's also about ease of use and efficiency for developers. This could significantly accelerate AI adoption across various industries. But what about existing Voyage AI users? Will this acquisition affect their access to the technology?
Good question. Voyage AI's models will continue to be available through their website, AWS Marketplace, and Azure Marketplace. Further MongoDB integrations are planned for later this year, so existing users won't see any disruption, and new users will have even more options for accessing this powerful technology.
That's reassuring. It sounds like a win-win situation for everyone involved. This acquisition seems to address a critical bottleneck in AI development, the issue of trust and accuracy. This is truly groundbreaking.
Absolutely. MongoDB is essentially redefining what a database needs to be in the AI era. By addressing the problem of AI hallucinations head-on, they're paving the way for more reliable and impactful AI applications across the board. It's a bold move, but a smart one.
I agree. This partnership has the potential to reshape the landscape of AI development. It's exciting to see such innovation in the database and AI space.
And that's a wrap for today's Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the exciting world of MongoDB and Voyage AI. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time with more tech news. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a truly remarkable story. Solving a decade-long superbug mystery in just 48 hours. Incredible, isn't it?
Absolutely. A decade of research condensed into 2 days? That's a game changer. So what exactly did the AI solve?
Right. The AI, a tool developed by Google, cracked the code on why certain superbugs are resistant to antibiotics. A team at Imperial College London, led by Professor Penades, had been working on this for years, painstakingly building their hypothesis.
And this hypothesis, this breakthrough, was something they hadn't even published yet, right? That's mind-blowing.
Precisely. Their research focused on how these superbugs, these antibiotic-resistant bacteria, managed to spread between different species. They theorized that these superbugs essentially develop tails from viruses, acting like keys to unlock new host species. Ingenious.
So the AI, without access to their unpublished work, somehow arrived at the same conclusion? How did that even happen? Was it just lucky?
That's the amazing part. Not only did the AI reach the same conclusion, but it also provided 4 additional hypotheses, all of which proved to be relevant and insightful. It wasn't just luck. It demonstrates the power of this AI to analyze complex biological data and generate novel hypotheses. It's truly remarkable.
I see. But doesn't this raise concerns about the future of scientific research? Will AI eventually replace human scientists?
That's a valid concern, and it's the first reaction many people have. However, Professor Penedès views this AI not as a replacement, but as an incredibly powerful tool. He compares it to having a star player on your team. It elevates the entire game. It accelerates the research process immensely.
I guess that makes sense. It's like having a superpowered research assistant. But still, the speed at which this AI worked. It's almost unsettling, you know? A decade's worth of work in 2 days. It's a bit unnerving.
It is a significant shift, no doubt. But think of the potential. This technology could drastically accelerate research in various fields, leading to faster breakthroughs in medicine, materials, science, and many other areas. The implications are vast. We're only scratching the surface here.
Absolutely. This is a huge leap forward, but it also highlights the need for careful consideration of the ethical implications and potential societal impact of such powerful AI tools. We need to ensure responsible development and deployment.
Precisely. It's a double-edged sword, but the potential benefits are too significant to ignore. This is a pivotal moment in scientific history, and we're witnessing the dawn of a new era. Exciting times ahead.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion as fascinating as we did.
And from all of us here at Tech Bytes and News, goodbye, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating project, King of the Grid, a Z80-based sandbox competition game. It's intense, it's competitive, and it's all about writing the most efficient bot to conquer the grid.
A Z80 sandbox? That's old school cool. So how does this game actually work? I'm picturing something like a retro-style battle arena.
Exactly. 2 bots, programmed by developers, start on opposite corners of a 32 by 32 grid. Think of it as a digital gladiatorial contest, but with algorithms instead of swords. The goal? To outlast your opponent. Survival of the fittest code.
And what are these bots doing to survive? Are they just moving around randomly?
Oh, far from it. They can move, eat food and prey, scan their environment, and even clone themselves. A bit like a digital version of cellular automata. The rules are detailed in rules.cpp, but the core idea is resource management and strategic movement. The environment itself is procedurally generated using fast noise light, adding an element of unpredictability.
Procedural generation? That's smart. It keeps things fresh and prevents over-optimization for a specific map layout. So how do I even get started building a bot? Do I need a supercomputer?
Not at all. There's an online IDE running a Linux Alpine environment in your browser, making it incredibly accessible. Or, if you prefer, you can use SDCC or Z88DK compilers. The project provides excellent documentation and examples for both. It's really well structured.
That's impressive. So the bots run on a Z80 virtual machine. That's a throwback to the 8-bit era. Does that limit their capabilities?
It certainly adds a constraint. Each bot has a limited number of Z80 ticks per game tick, so efficiency is paramount. Think of it as a test of elegant programming. You need to achieve a lot with very limited resources. It's a beautiful challenge.
I see. Interesting. And what about communication between bots? Can they cooperate, or is it pure competition?
That's a great question. By default, it's pure competition. However, there's a shared memory feature. If a bot enables it, the last 8,192 bytes of memory become shared, allowing for potential cooperation, or, perhaps, even sabotage. But, there are caveats. You need to manage your stack pointer carefully to avoid issues.
So it's not just about writing a bot that can survive. It's about writing a bot that can survive efficiently, and potentially even exploit shared memory for an advantage. This sounds incredibly complex, but also incredibly rewarding.
Precisely. The project even provides tools for debugging and replaying games, allowing you to analyze your bot's performance and learn from your mistakes. You can even automatically upload your game recordings to a cinema for sharing. It's a complete package.
This sounds like a fantastic project for anyone interested in retro computing, competitive programming, or just a good challenge. Thanks for highlighting it.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of King of the Grid. Have a great day and happy coding.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating development in the aviation industry, Airbus's response to potential U.S. tariffs. It's a pretty bold move, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. A bold move indeed. So the gist is that Airbus is threatening to prioritize non-U.S. orders if these tariffs go through, right? That's a significant lever to pull.
Precisely. Airbus's CEO, Guillaume Faury, made it very clear at a recent press conference. He's not messing around. If the tariffs are imposed, deliveries to U.S. customers will take a back seat. Think of it as a strategic reallocation of resources.
I see. But what's the reasoning behind this? Is it purely a retaliatory measure, or is there more to it?
It's a multifaceted issue. It's not just about retaliation, it's about economics. Airbus produces planes in Europe, Canada, and the U.S. The 25% tariffs, slated to take effect March 4th, would significantly impact the cost of A220s from Canada and parts imported into the Mobile, Alabama plant. These increased costs would make Airbus planes less competitive in the U.S. market.
So prioritizing international orders is a way to mitigate those losses, to focus on markets where they won't be hit as hard by the tariffs? That's a smart business strategy, even if it's a bit aggressive.
Exactly. It's a calculated risk. They're essentially saying, if you make it too expensive for us to sell in the U.S., we'll just sell more elsewhere. It's a powerful statement about their global reach and market position.
It's interesting that this announcement came during a press conference discussing their 2024 results, which apparently met expectations. Seems like a deliberate juxtaposition, almost like they wanted to emphasize their strength and resilience in the face of potential challenges.
You're absolutely right. It was a strategic move to frame the tariff threat within the context of their overall success. They delivered 766 planes last year, with a massive order book of 629 billion euros. They're clearly not a company easily pushed around.
This whole situation highlights the complex interplay between international trade, politics, and the aviation industry. It's a high-stakes game, and Airbus is playing it aggressively. I wonder what the long-term implications will be.
Indeed. The impact on the U.S. aviation market, on Airbus's U.S. operations, and on the broader geopolitical landscape remains to be seen. It's a situation worth watching closely. This has been a fascinating discussion, hasn't it?
Absolutely. A really insightful look into the strategic maneuvering of a global aviation giant. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Airbus tariff saga. Have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating bug hunt concerning DOS-33's sys.com command and its unexpected interaction with NetDrive. Get ready, folks. This is a technical treat.
Ooh, DOS 3.3. That takes me back. So what's the core issue here? Is it a NetDrive problem, a DOS problem, or something more sinister?
It's a classic case of unhandled exceptions, my friend. A user reported that running sys.com on a NetDrive-mounted hard drive image rendered the image unmountable. Sys.com, you see, makes a disk bootable by copying boot files, but in this case, it corrupted the image's BIOS parameter block, BPB.
The BPB? That's the heart of the disk's structure, right? So essentially, sys.com was overwriting crucial information.
Precisely. The author, Michael Brutman, meticulously recreated the issue. He found that sys.com, when dealing with a hard drive image, makes a call to a generic IOCTL function to get the drive's geometry. But, and this is the kicker, it doesn't check the return code of that function.
Uh-oh. So if the IOCTL call fails, which it does with NetDrive, apparently SYSCOM just merrily writes whatever garbage is in that memory location over the BPB?
Exactly. Brilliant deduction. Brutman's debugging showed that the overwritten data was actually part of SYSCOM's own code. He even disassembled it to confirm.
Wow, that's unsettling. So it's a classic buffer overflow situation, but with a twist. The buffer is within the program itself?
Not quite a buffer overflow in the traditional sense. It's more of a failure to handle a potential error condition. The program assumes the IOCTL call will succeed, and when it doesn't, it uses the corrupted data. It's a failure to check the carry flag, indicating an error.
I see. Interesting. So the problem is specific to hard drive images because of the IOCTL call? Floppy images don't trigger this issue?
That's the key difference. It seems DOS3's SYS.com uses a different approach for floppy images. It relies on the media descriptor byte in the BPB to determine the disk geometry. If the media type is unambiguous, like a standard 360 kilobytes floppy, it skips the IOCTL call entirely, avoiding the error.
So essentially, a shortcut that works only when the media type is clearly defined. A risky optimization, to say the least.
Absolutely. And the author even checked the DOS 4.0 source code. The bug persists. It's a testament to how these seemingly minor oversights can have lasting consequences. It's a great example of why robust error handling is paramount in software development, even in seemingly simple commands.
A truly fascinating case study in debugging and the importance of checking return codes. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Join us tomorrow for more deep dives into the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the exciting world of DeepSeek AI integrations, specifically the awesome DeepSeek integration GitHub repository. It's a massive collection, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a goldmine of information. I'm particularly struck by the sheer number of applications listed, from chatbots and AI assistants to browser extensions and even IDE plugins. It's amazing how many developers are already leveraging DeepSeek's capabilities.
Exactly. The sheer breadth is mind-blowing. We've got everything from simple PHP and Swift clients, making it easy for developers to integrate DeepSeek into existing projects, to more complex frameworks like those for RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, and even fully homomorphic encryption, FHE. That's a serious level of security.
The FHE frameworks are particularly interesting. The ability to perform computations on encrypted data without decryption is a huge step forward for privacy-sensitive applications. It opens up a whole new range of possibilities, right?
You're absolutely right. It's a game changer. And look at the range of platforms supported. We're talking about integrations with popular tools like Zotero, Notion, even WeChat. The developers behind this repository have clearly put in a tremendous amount of work.
I also noticed a significant number of integrations for various code editors and IDEs. This suggests a strong focus on developer experience and ease of use. Making DeepSeek accessible to a wider range of developers is key to its success, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. The more accessible it is, the more innovative applications we'll see. And the fact that there are dedicated integrations for things like Versus Code, NeoVim, and even JetBrains IDEs shows a real commitment to developer-centric design. It's not just about the technology, it's about making it usable.
I do wonder, though, about the sustainability of such a large and diverse ecosystem. Maintaining and updating all these integrations must be a huge undertaking. How do you see that being managed long-term?
That's a valid point. It's a challenge, for sure. The success will likely depend on community involvement and a well-defined contribution process. The open-source nature of the project helps, but effective community management will be crucial for long-term maintenance. Maybe a modular design, allowing for independent updates of individual integrations, could help.
That makes sense. A modular approach would definitely improve maintainability. It's also impressive to see the diverse range of applications, from financial AI assistance to audiobook toolkits. It really highlights the versatility of DeepSeek.
Precisely. The applications listed showcase DeepSeek's adaptability and potential across various domains. It's not just limited to chatbots. It's powering serious tools for research, finance, and even creative content generation. The potential is truly limitless.
It's a testament to the power of open-source collaboration and the potential of LLMs like DeepSeek to revolutionize how we interact with technology. This GitHub repository is a fantastic resource for anyone interested in exploring the possibilities.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of DeepSeek AI integrations. We hope you found this discussion insightful and inspiring. Goodbye, and happy coding.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the biggest crypto hack in history, the $1.4 billion heist from Bybit. It's a wild story, and it's all about a single bit flip. Incredible!
A single bit flip? Seriously, that sounds almost too simple, yet devastatingly effective. How did such a small change cause such massive damage?
That's the genius, or rather, the terrifying ingenuity of the attack. Bybit, like many exchanges, uses a multi-sig system with safe, smart contract wallets. Think of it like a bank vault needing multiple keys. The attackers didn't crack the keys. They manipulated a transaction parameter. A seemingly innocuous operation parameter, buried deep within the transaction data, was flipped from 0 to 1. This seemingly insignificant change activated a delegate call function.
So operation equals 1 essentially gave the attackers a backdoor? I see.
Exactly. It's like signing a bank transfer with a hidden clause, granting someone else joint account access. But this wasn't just access. It was the ability to rewrite the rules of the safe wallet itself. The attackers used this to deploy two malicious contracts. The first modified the wallet's settings, and the second became the new code, giving them complete control. A two-step takeover.
Wow. That's incredibly sophisticated. It wasn't a brute force attack. It was a carefully crafted social engineering and code manipulation masterpiece. But how did they get the employees to approve this malicious transaction in the first place?
That's still under investigation. The article suggests it might have been a phishing attack, a compromised device, or manipulation of Bybit's signing process. The crucial point is that the interface was compromised, subtly replacing the legitimate transaction with the malicious one. The employees, seeing what appeared to be a routine transfer, approved it without realizing the hidden danger.
So even with multiple layers of security, a single point of failure, in this case, the compromised interface, brought the whole system down. This highlights a critical vulnerability in the current security model, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The article emphasizes that no system is hack-proof. The focus should shift from preventing all hacks to mitigating damage and responding effectively. Traditional finance operates on an assume failure model, building in layers of redundancy and response plans. Crypto needs to adopt this approach. It's not about perfect security, but about making attacks so difficult and costly that they become impractical.
Right. Layering security, stricter controls, and rapid response mechanisms are crucial. This hack underscores the need for more robust security protocols and a more proactive approach to risk management within the crypto industry. The speed at which the attackers moved the funds is also alarming.
Indeed. The funds were quickly dispersed across numerous addresses to obfuscate the trail. Lazarus Group, North Korea's state-sponsored cybercrime unit, has been identified as the culprit, linking this attack to their previous exploits. The article mentions bridging and mixers as their next steps to further complicate tracing the stolen assets.
This is a wake-up call for the entire crypto industry. It's not just about technology. It's about operational security, human factors, and the need for a more mature approach to risk management. Bybit's response, while commendable, highlights the immense challenges involved in dealing with such a sophisticated attack.
Precisely. Bybit's swift action in processing withdrawals and cooperating with partners to trace the funds is noteworthy. But this incident underscores the need for continuous improvement in security practices across the board. The assume failure mindset, coupled with robust response plans, is the way forward. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating report on the explosive growth of solar power in the U.S. and some surprising trends in renewable energy. Get ready!
I'm all ears. The headline caught my eye. Solar power exploding while wind lags? That's a significant shift.
Exactly. The 2024 Fact Book on Sustainable Energy reveals some stunning figures. Renewable energy hit a record 24% of U.S. electricity generation, and solar was the undisputed star, driving almost all of that growth. Almost 40 gigawatts of new solar capacity. That's massive.
Wow. And wind? The report mentions a decline for the fourth year running, both onshore and offshore. What's behind that?
Well, the report points to several factors. It mentions significant changes in U.S. energy policies under the Trump administration, which certainly played a role. There were also challenges with offshore wind projects specifically. It's a complex picture, you know?
I see. So it's not just about technology, but also about policy and regulatory hurdles. Interesting. The report also highlights a big increase in battery storage. That's crucial for solar and wind, right?
Absolutely. Battery storage is key to smoothing out the intermittency of renewables. The U.S. is now the second largest energy storage market globally, behind only China. This is a huge step towards grid stability and reliability with solar energy.
That's encouraging. But what about the overall impact on greenhouse gas emissions? Did this renewable energy boom translate into significant reductions?
Well, it's a mixed bag. Overall, U.S. greenhouse gas emissions were up slightly, about 0.5%, mostly due to increases in industry, transport, and agriculture. However, emissions from the power sector are down drastically, a whopping 41% lower than in 2005.
So the power sector is cleaning up its act, but other sectors need to catch up. That's a crucial point. The report also mentions corporate involvement.
Yes, corporations played a huge role, signing up to buy 28 gigawatts of zero-carbon power. And there's a new trend: diversification beyond wind and solar to include nuclear power. That's a significant development.
That's fascinating. It seems like a more holistic approach to decarbonization. And what about the electric vehicle market?
Electric vehicle sales hit 1.5 million in 2024, a 6.5% increase. 1 in 10 new cars sold was electric. And it's not just Tesla anymore. Legacy automakers are seriously ramping up their EV production.
That's impressive growth. It all points to a significant shift in the energy landscape. The report paints a picture of progress, but also highlights the challenges ahead. We need to see continued policy support and innovation across all sectors to truly tackle climate change.
Precisely. The report is a snapshot, a moment in time. Whether these positive trends continue under the current administration remains to be seen, but the progress made in 2024 is undeniably significant. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of renewable energy. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a surprisingly fascinating linguistic puzzle: the etymology of restaurateur. It's a word that trips up even culinary students, you know? Intriguing.
Absolutely. I've always wondered about that missing N. Is it a simple spelling error that somehow stuck, or is there a more complex history at play?
Oh, it's way more interesting than a simple mistake. It all goes back to French, naturally. The word originates from the verb restaurer, meaning to restore, repair, or renew.
I see. So it's not about restaurants at all initially?
Not directly, no. Initially, a restaurateur in the Middle Ages was a type of medical assistant, preparing patients for surgery. But get this, they were also known for a special restorative meat-based soup. This soup, itself called restaurant, was believed to fortify people physically and spiritually.
Wow, that's a completely different image than I had in my head. So the place where the soup was served eventually became known as a restaurant too?
Exactly. Then, after the French Revolution, chefs who'd previously worked for the aristocracy started opening public eating places, serving all sorts of food, not just restorative soups. That's when the modern restaurant, as we know it, really took off.
So the word restaurateur predates the modern concept of a restaurant? That's a pretty cool historical twist. Amazing.
Precisely. And the N was never there to begin with. The word evolved from the French verb, adding the masculine suffix auteur to create the noun. There's no missing N to account for. It's just a matter of linguistic evolution.
That's a much more satisfying explanation than I expected. It makes perfect sense now. So just to be clear, the pronunciation should reflect the spelling, right? No adding an extra N sound?
Absolutely. Pronounce it as it's spelled, restaurateur. Anything else sounds, well, unprofessional. And remember, the feminine version was restauratrice. But thankfully, that one didn't stick.
Good to know. This whole thing is a great example of how language evolves and how seemingly simple words can have such rich histories. Thanks for shedding light on this culinary linguistic mystery.
My pleasure. And for our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about the fascinating world of culinary arts and the history behind the food we eat, check out the Culinary Institute of America's website. They have tons of resources and information. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day and bon appétit.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into LL Player, a revolutionary media player designed specifically for language learning. It's amazing!
I've heard whispers about this. What makes it so special compared to, say, VLC or MPV? I mean, those handle subtitles just fine, right?
That's where LL Player truly shines. It's not just about playing subtitles. It's about actively using them for learning. Think dual subtitles, simultaneously displaying two languages. Brilliant for comparing translations. And it handles both text and bitmap subtitles seamlessly, adjusting size and position without overlap. No more messy subtitle clashes.
Dual subtitles is neat, but the AI-generated subtitles using OpenAI Whisper are what really grabbed my attention. 99 languages? That's insane.
Totally insane. And it's not just about the sheer number of languages. The asynchronous generation from any point in the video is a game changer. You don't have to wait for the whole thing to process. You can start generating subtitles on the fly. Plus, the use of CUDA, Vulkan, and OpenVino ensures blazing fast performance. Impressive optimization.
So it's like a supercharged subtitle machine. But what about translation? Does it just rely on the AI subtitles?
No, it goes further. It offers real-time translation using Google Translate and DeepL, supporting a whopping 134 languages. Imagine watching a video in Japanese with English subtitles, and then instantly translating those English subtitles into, say, Spanish. Mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm sold on the translation and AI features. But what about those videos with those annoying bitmap subtitles? You know, the ones that are just images, not actual text?
Ah, yes. LL Player tackles that with real-time OCR, using Tesseract OCR and Microsoft OCR. It leverages Fmpeg's native API for speed, converting those bitmap subtitles into editable text instantly. Ingenious. It's not just about playing videos. It's about making them accessible and usable for learning.
This is all incredibly impressive. But what about the practical side? Does it support all video formats? And what about word lookup?
It's built on FFmpeg and Flyleaf, so it handles a massive range of video and subtitle formats. And yes, the instant word lookup is a killer feature. Click a word in the subtitles, and a pop-up shows you the definition, allowing you to search online or copy it. It even has a sidebar for easy navigation and an anti-spoiler feature. Fantastic!
I see. One thing though, while the support for online videos via YT-DLP is great, I'm a little concerned about the potential legal implications of automatically downloading and translating copyrighted content. Shouldn't there be a stronger warning about that?
You're right to point that out. That's a crucial ethical consideration. Perhaps a more prominent disclaimer highlighting the user's responsibility regarding copyright would be beneficial. Good point. It's important to use this powerful tool responsibly.
Absolutely. But overall, this is a truly remarkable piece of software. The open-source nature, written in C# makes it easily customizable. The features are just overwhelming in a good way. Incredible!
It really is. From dual subtitles and AI-powered transcription to real-time translation, and OCR LL Player is a complete language learning powerhouse. And it's free and open source. Check out the GitHub link for the source code and download it for Windows. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the daily roundup of Tech Bytes and News. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.